Hey friends, Megan McIntosh here. Welcome to this video. I am very excited to talk to you about this topic, all about self-coaching yourself to results. So if you're there watching, let me know, say hi, drop a 1 down below if you're watching right now. If you are watching the replay, you can drop a 2 down below. You could do #replay as well. And this is something that I know that so many of us want to learn how to self-coach ourselves. You may have a coach, you may not have a coach, but knowing how to really understand your emotions, understand the way your brain thinks, understand the way you intellectualize things, really is going to help you solve your problems and solve things that you may be struggling with. Specifically, as I do coaching, I do sales coaching and I work with people who are building a business. So oftentimes the problems they're solving are problems on how to get clients, how to make more sales, how to increase their sales, how to get more marketing and that kind of thing. But this can be in any type of area of your life, because coaching really is about having something that you want, a potential, understanding where you want to go, and then helping yourself get there. And there are so many different routes to what you want and where you want to go. And it's understanding the way you're thinking about something and the way you're feeling and the way you're making progress or not making progress and why that might be. So this is a really important topic that I think so many of us are afraid to, not self-coach, but are afraid to really go deep into our brain and intellectualize this, because oftentimes you might be ruminating on something that's going on in your business and you're really not sure how to overcome that procrastination or rumination or the way you're thinking about something. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So let me just give you a couple examples so you can understand how I would teach someone to self-coach, how I would self-coach myself, and why it's so important to do this. So if you're in a coaching relationship with a coach, like if you're working with me or whoever you might be coaching with, one of the first things that you want to really get focused on is what you want, right? Obviously what you desire. And that is the number one thing is what is your why? What is it that you desire? What are the things that you want to improve in your life or improve on your business? And oftentimes we come thinking that there's something that we want, right? Maybe we're saying we want $10,000 months or $1 million business, or we want 20 clients or whatever it is, right? And so you think you want something. This could also be in any other area of your life, like your body. You can think, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to get in shape, and you think you want something, right? But the thing is, there's so many tools to get what you want, right? You could easily Google something, you could easily YouTube it, and do all the training in the world, and literally have all the knowledge at your fingertips to get what you want, but you're not getting it, right? And so this could be like a quandary for you if you're thinking, I know exactly what I need to do. Like so many people that come to me to get clients, sometimes they actually know what they're supposed to do to get clients. And yet there's something holding them back, right? Same with losing weight. You often know I have to I have to eat healthy, or I need to exercise and sleep well. You know what you need to do. But it's the doing part and the overthinking part and understanding why you're not really taking action on what you're doing. That really is the important part, is understanding why am I not doing that thing that I know I'm supposed to do and I actually know how. So when I was talking to my coach the other day, we were talking about the idea of making a decision and having that decision and that deciding factor. And sometimes you are not making a decision on something, or you're not making a decision about maybe losing weight, or you're not making a decision on getting more clients in your business, either because we usually take action on pain and pleasure, right? So if we are already lit up in our life, if we're already happy and we don't have something that is painful, it's sometimes harder to actually make a move, right? Not sure if you've heard of like the whole idea of someone that's maybe been at the bottom and they just had to get out of that situation and then they succeeded. And that is something that you hear so many times of the entrepreneur who went bankrupt and then like blew up their business or their whatever it was, right? And this is a common thing where so many times we oftentimes have to go to that breaking point where we make a decision to make a change, right? In any area of your life, right? You get to this breaking point where it's almost like enough is enough. I am sick of the situation I'm in and I need to change it, right? But the thing is so many of us often don't get to that breaking point. So many of us, especially in where I live in North America, we oftentimes we live really full lives and happy lives, and maybe we got the job and we got the kids and we got the family and we're happy, but there's just like a small amount of discontent, right? But we can live with what we have, right? Oftentimes we learn to get used to what we learn to what is it, the word, not get used to, but we keep our standards the same way, right? Like, so it's almost like we get used to a specific standard, okay? So if you've been living a certain way, but you're not completely feeling bad about it and you're living in a specific standard, you're just doing okay, right? And it's hard to move out of a situation if you feel okay, right? If you're feeling like this is good enough, I'm actually okay, I'm not feeling terrible, I'm feeling happy enough, right? And so the thing that you have to start looking at is, number one, raising your standards and understanding, I know that I'm feeling okay. I know that I'm feeling pretty good in my life. But if there's something that I want, I need to actually raise my standards to get it, because you need to put yourself in some sort of feeling of like, why would you go after it if you're doing okay, right? Why would you go after something else if you're feeling okay in your business or feeling okay in your life or in your body, right? There has to be some sort of way that you can actually get to that next level. So one of the ways to do that is to raise your standards and understand and take a really hard look at your standards and look at, where are you in your life? And do you want something better for yourself, right? And if you do, then that will help you understand, how do I create that vision of what I want, so that I'm creating a vision where I am raising my standards. I'm creating a vision for myself where I'm able to see the future in advance of what I want, rather than kind of going on the hamster wheel of I'm good enough, things are okay. I'm, on, that hamster wheel of just monotony and things are okay as they are and they're not painful enough for me to change, right? Most people, either they're going to change because a situation is painful, or they have a huge vision, right? It's almost like the two sides of the scale. You're either like, things are really painful and you need to get out of a situation, and that's why you have to move on that situation, right? Or you have created such a vision for yourself that you really want it, that you desire it, and you make that decision that you're going to raise your standards up to that vision that you have for yourself. Hold on, I just had an email come through. And so that's what you have to do, right? We either move through pleasure or pain, and each of us is kind of motivated by different things. Some of us are motivated by pain. Some of us are motivated by that bigger vision. So I recommend you kind of like look at both, right? So what do you do if you don't have too much pain in your life? It's really creating a vision and understanding, these are like, let's be honest with yourself about your life and say, this, yes, it's good, but if I had this, it would be better, and I would actually be stepping into that potential, that person that I truly desire to be. I would be raising my standards because I'm actually living full out into the person that I know I'm supposed to be, right? I'm okay here, but I know that if I just raise my standards a little bit, or if I looked at my life and my vision of what I want, I could get myself there, right? And so this is some of the ways that I help people understand about where they're at and why they're maybe not moving ahead in their business or their life. It really has a lot to do with being comfortable where they're at, not wanting to get uncomfortable to go after what they want, because you do have to get uncomfortable oftentimes to go after you want, and also the idea of raising your standards. Now there's another thing to think about, and that is when you, once you've decided, I want to craft that vision for myself, and you know what you want, but for some reason it's still not happening, right? Like you've already said, well, I've crafted this vision, I know what I want, I want to raise my standards there, but you're still not doing the work, or you're still not really understanding why it's not happening right now. You're starting to solve the wrong problem. Okay, usually what happens is if you're trying to figure out, well, why is it not working? Why am I not doing these things? What am I supposed to do? Hey Dee, good to see you. The thing that you got to think about is, if I want something and I am raising my standards for what I want, and yet I'm still not getting it, I've created this vision for myself, what is missing is you not deciding fully. Right? You have to actually really put that, tent peg in the ground and make that decision that there's no other thing that you're going to want for yourself, that you have decided fully and completely, taken the full album cover of the Tragically Hip, that you are going to go after this and there's going to be no stopping you. But until you make that decision for yourself that that's what you're going to continue on in terms of the goal you want or the vision that you want for your life, you will stay in the comfort, right? Because if you haven't made the decision, what that means is like a big decision of this is where I want to go. There's always going to be like little mini decisions to get to that big decision, to get to that big goal, right? You can't just like go like, I'm deciding this, and then just like saying it to the universe and saying to your friends and family and to yourself, this is what I want, but then not really having like an action plan to get to what you want, right? So you have to make that big decision first, and then from there you kind of work backwards and say, okay, what is the plan? Instead of getting yourself in, like, oftentimes we solve the wrong problem where we like make the decision, and then what happens is we get overwhelmed, right? We don't think linear. So we think, this is what I want, and I'm going to do anything to get it. Instead, we start like going backwards on our decision and saying, oh, but I'm not sure about this, 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 right? And that is really like you're trying to solve something. Your brain is trying to intellectualize your decision instead of finding solutions, right? It still has not made a decision. So if you're noticing that you want something, right, whether it's more clients or a different body or whatever it is, and you haven't got it yet, but you feel like you've made the decision, if you notice yourself backtracking, if you notice yourself, making that decision, but then saying, but I don't know about this, I don't know about this, I'm not sure, what about this, I don't know if it's possible. What's happening is you have not made the full, clear decision, okay? Because what's going to happen is if you do make the decision and there is absolutely nothing that's going to stop you from that decision, what happens is your brain, like the reticular activating aspect of your brain, is going to like literally start seeing the pathway for you. You're going to see all the solutions, and it's going to not stop and not get railroaded or sabotaged or go into backward mode by saying, oh, I don't know about this, I don't know about this. You're actually going to be able to find the solutions because you're like, well, there's no other thing I'm going to be doing. This is my decision. This is what I want. This is the goal I want. Nothing's going to stop me. And if you have that in your head, then what that means is nothing will stop you. You will find solutions to everything that you need to make whatever that goal is a reality for you, right? And I know it seems so simple to say it's all about decision, but it is. Like in anything in your life, if you wanted it bad enough, if you're like, I want this, this is what I want, like nothing's going to stop me, you're going to get it. But if for some reason you haven't fully banked in on that decision 100%, it's likely that your brain will make excuses for you. It's the way our brains work, right? And another way to think about it is intellectualizing the way you are, right? So if you start beating yourself up about things, that's another thing that I do not recommend. If you want something, if you want a goal and you want something in your life and you make a decision for it, and then you're not able to come up with the solutions, or you think, oh, like I'm not sure it's possible, whatever, like that's like where you start beating yourself up, right? And it means that you have not still fully booked in and landed on, this is the decision I'm going to be making. This is 100% what I want. I fully decided and I don't care. No, nothing is going to stop me. But if you're starting to beat yourself up and saying, oh, I don't know about this, that like it's not possible, or why am I still not there? Why haven't I made it? What's happening? I don't get it. I don't understand. That is like not going to help you move forward, because once again, you're leaking confidence, right? So instead of being like, I don't care, maybe I'm going to make mistakes along the way during getting to this decision. Maybe along the way to this goal, I'm going to mess up, or along this way to this goal, I'm going to fail a couple times, or along the way to this goal, maybe I'm going to have some wrong information and I'm going to take a step forward that, maybe it's not the right step, and then I have to step this way and I got to go on this route and this route, right? What the thing is you want your brain to start saying it's okay to take action, even if it's imperfect. It's okay to take action, even if it's maybe not even the correct action, and never beating yourself up in any aspect in terms of going after that goal and the decision you're making for that goal. So what that means is like, it is okay if on the way to that goal, if you've made the decision of something that you want and you're like 100%, I'm done, this is what I want, and I'm going for this, on that way, it's almost like you have to have like a Teflon confidence that even if you make a minor wrong move towards that goal, or maybe you don't like have some information that's incorrect, right? It won't sway you. It won't put you off track. And this is something that a lot of people do, like especially high achievers and higher performers. If for some reason they want something and they're going for it and they have like that energy and they're going after it, and then something derails them slightly, whatever it is, it could be anything. It could be anything that's derailing your progress in what you're going after. Almost like the winds get knocked out of your sails, and you might think, oh, like it's not working, it's not happening fast enough, it's gonna take me forever to get there, I don't know what's wrong with me, why do I always do this, why does this always happen to me, I don't understand it, I hate the way like my brain works. Like when you start doing that, you're making yourself wrong. You're making yourself like basically you're eroding your self-trust of going after that. And instead, the way you want to think about it is, if for some reason you want something and maybe it's still taking time, instead of making yourself wrong and making yourself like feel like everything you do is incorrect and you don't know what you're doing, you have to start giving yourself praise in the small actions that you're taking, even if they might not be giving you what you want right now, okay? So for instance, in your business, if you want to get more clients, say you're doing marketing to get clients and it's not working and you're just like consistently doing it and then you stop, right? You marketed for a while and then you like put the brakes on because it's not working. It doesn't feel like it's working. You're like, it's not working. I don't know why. I got to figure out a solution to this. Oh my gosh, I don't think it's going to work. What's wrong with me, right? Instead, what you can do is, instead of stopping and thinking something's wrong with your strategy or thinking something's wrong with you, you actually have to get more. Instead of like worrying too much about the strategy, you actually have to jump into more the decision, okay? You actually have to like decide even harder that 100% that's what you want. So instead of intellectualizing what went wrong and why it's not working, you actually have to literally double down on the decision of, well, this is what I want no matter what. This is what I want, and you have to like literally build your belief in the decision of what you want to get. And this is in any area of your life, right? If any type time you're like getting backtracked, or you're stalling, or you're feeling procrastination, or you're beating yourself up and you're like, why do I do this all the time? instead of like taking 10 steps back and like saying, why do I do this, and backtracking, you actually want to build your confidence again and build your belief again as strong as possible and say, well, you know what, I'm trying. These are the steps I'm taking. This is how I'm marketing. Maybe it's not working now, but it's going to work. I'm going to put even more energy behind it. I'm even more excited that I know 100%. Hey, the fact that I'm doing this, and even if it's not working right now, it will work. I believe in it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. Wow, look at how great I'm doing at taking action. Like, you actually have to give yourself praise for taking action, even if it's not happening. And so you want to double down on that belief in yourself, that confidence in yourself, and that love of yourself. And instead of, intellectualizing and being like, well, why do I do this? I don't understand. What's wrong with me? Why do I procrastinate? Why do I do things this way, right? Instead of doing that kind of thinking, because that's not going to get you a solution. That's just like beating yourself up. You want to really think about like, wow, it's not working. Oh, that's okay. There's other things I can do. Wow, I still want this thing. I want it even more now, right? Like, obviously, I'm so excited I want it, and that's why I'm working hard at this, and maybe it's not working, but I still want it. I still believe in it. I still love myself. I still am going after it, and I'm not going to make myself wrong if things happen and I get sidetracked or something happens. It's okay. I'm a human being and life happens, but I'm going to double down on my belief in this. I'm going to double down on making my decision even stronger in terms of what I want, right? So that's how you self-coach yourself. That's how you start thinking about it, right? Is you want to understand that it's not about getting what you want right away. It's not about that maybe the things that you're doing or the efforts you're taking is incorrect. You need to fail. You need to be okay with taking action that might not work. You need to build your confidence and that energy and that excitement, and always be deciding and knowing that, sometimes there's going to be times along the way where you might be needing to, heal yourself or understand, like, why do I do this? Oh, I understand. It's just because of this happened before. Okay, not a big deal. I'm gonna still do it, right? Like, even if there's like some sort of trauma response or some sort of reason why you're like stopping yourself, instead of like beating yourself up about it and like, why do I always do this? I always do this. It's almost like understanding, like, that's okay though. You know what? It's not a big deal. I'm learning about myself along the way. I'm understanding the way my brain works, and it's okay. And look at how amazing it is that I'm noticing these thoughts, right? So for instance, I was having thoughts last week with my coach, and I was explaining my thoughts. I can't even remember. It was like basically I was feeling guilty about something, right? And I remember feeling it was something silly to be guilty about, right? But I felt guilt. I felt this guiltiness, and I was like, oh, like I should have done this or this. And it wasn't even anything that was my fault. It was a situation someone else was in, and I was starting to feel guilty because I couldn't be there as much as I wanted to be there, right? Or it was almost like I was just feeling like taking their problem and putting it in my shoulders and feeling guilty that I couldn't do more. Okay, so it was silly. Like, obviously it's something that I feel. And so I was saying to my coach, what I did is I actually looked at those thoughts. I actually like started looking the way my brain was like, thinking of these negative things. And I was like, isn't that interesting that I'm feeling super guilty right now? Like, I have, I understand it, but like, that is not a solution-based thought, right? To feel guilty, right? That's not going to help that person. It's not going to help me feeling guilty, right? Like, wow, how interesting that I'm feeling this amount of guilt, but it's not a thought that's going to give me a solution. So I actually looked at the thoughts of feeling guilty over the situation. And instead of continuing to feel guilty, I looked at it, I said, isn't that interesting that feeling of guilt is coming up for me? Isn't that interesting that I start feeling those feelings? Wow, well, that's not really going to help in this situation. Why don't I just like release those feelings, understand that that's something that comes up, say it's okay that maybe that's a thought that comes up. It's okay, maybe that's a response that you're used to having. This is some types of feelings that you do, right? This guilt thing, right? And so it's okay, like, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't stress about it. Oh my gosh. Don't make yourself feel more guilty, but just acknowledge that is something that you tend to do. And that's something to work on, and be like, You don't have to feel that way. It's okay if you are feeling that way though as well, because this is a response that you do. And so if this is a response that you do, just like, give yourself a pat on the back, say it's okay that you do that. I understand it's an interesting response that you're doing, this guilty feeling, but it's not necessarily Siri, let's like understand it, feel it. Maybe it's something that you've, trained yourself to do, to feel a certain way. And then, release it and understand like that is not a necessarily Siri feeling. So like when I start feeling feelings that are like not needed in a situation and not really making sense for a situation, instead of like making myself feel them more, I start like feeling like it's okay to feel that way. You don't have to feel that way though either, right? It's okay. Don't beat yourself up for feeling guilty, because that's another thing that I almost did, is feeling so guilty, and then talking with my coach about it and being like, can't believe I'm feeling guilty. Like, why am I feeling guilty? There you're beating yourself up, right? So instead it's like you feel that feeling, and then I was saying, you know what, like I'm not going to beat myself up for feeling that. That's obviously something that comes up for me. And oftentimes there's going to be automatic feelings, and the way we some people get anger, some people get frustration, whatever it is, right? And knowing what are those feelings that you come up with, and just like, instead of like beating yourself up for those feelings, acknowledging, well, I am a human, and obviously that must be a response that I've used growing up to feel a certain way to combat specific problems that I go upon in my life. And don't beat myself up about it, but just like be like, isn't that intriguing? Isn't that interesting that that is a feeling that I get, right? And that's going to help you, like, obviously it doesn't mean that the next time the guilt's not going to come, or the anger or the frustration or whatever feeling you might get. But what's going to happen is the next time it comes, you're going to be like, isn't it interesting? You're like almost going to like recognize it as a coach and say, isn't that interesting? I'm beating myself up like this. That doesn't need to happen. Isn't that interesting? I'm feeling guilty for something I don't need to feel guilty about. Wow, the response is coming back. Here it is. And what will happen is you will process and go through that response much quicker, rather than like sitting in it and staying in it and beating yourself up even more, or feeling that like kind of like negative feeling for a longer period of time. You're going to like recognize it, and you're going to recognize it in yourself. And really, the more you do that, the more like you're less likely to sit in it, right? And the thing is, I don't think it's like necessary to be like, I don't want these emotions. I don't want to feel guilty ever. I don't want to feel angry or frustrated. Like, these emotions are normal. Like, they're to protect us. We feel a billion different emotions in our lives, right? And so to recognize that and say, I'm allowed to feel that emotion, but I actually don't need to feel it right here, right? I don't need to feel it in this specific situation. But isn't it beautiful that I do have different emotions that come up, and I do it because I want to feel a certain way. I really, you can turn it around, right? You can turn around an emotion, like you can turn around that emotion of guilt and say, it just means I really, really care. When I'm feeling guilty about something, it's really like I really want to be there, but I can't right now. Or I'm feeling like I'm not able to do enough. It just means I really, really care, right? And if you had like an emotion of anger or something, it could be like, I'm feeling this anger like really well up, but it doesn't mean I'm actually angry. It's a response that I tend to do. And it could actually mean that like I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling hurt, right? And so these are the things that I want you to start recognizing in yourself, because you're going to notice that there's certain emotions and feelings that you tend to go to when you're frustrated. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to, comment down below with any thoughts on this. And hopefully this will help you self-coach yourself and understand, when those reactions, so that you, instead of beating yourself up, you actually hold that grace for yourself, and you can turn that emotion around quicker instead of ruminating it, and you can process it through your body in a different way. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, wherever you are in the world. Bye.